distinguished guests, welcome to the September 29th meeting of the Rotary Club of Louisville. I'm Walt Kuno, President of the club, and Paul Harris, Fellow. Order of business, please silence your phones. All right. I want to welcome everybody back to Joe's Palm Room and extend our genuine appreciation. These lights are tough. Looking for Butch Mosby and Kara Mackey. Where are they? There's Butch back in the back. I want to give them a round of applause for all they do for us. Coming to Joe's Palm Room represents more than a new meeting venue. Joe Hammond exemplified the Rotarian motto, service above self, and we are proud to link our club's legacy with such an impactful community leader, as well as build upon our ongoing commitment to West Louisville. Providing our invocation today is Judy Handmaker, President and CEO of Unique Relocation and Real Estate, and Paul Harris, Fellow. Welcome, Judy.
In this day and times of trouble and war, I went back to a very familiar invocation. Can you hear me? Can't hear you. Yeah. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I just got over laryngitis, so that may have some. In these troubled times of day and finances and everything, I went back to an old familiar invocation. Let us bow our heads. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Amen.
Thank you, Judy, and hopefully your laryngitis will get better. A little saltwater goggle won't hurt, right? Now to lead us in the pledge and four-way test is Jerry Martin, Vice President of River Hill Capital, LLC, Vice Chair of the Lifeline Committee, and Paul Harris, Fellow +3. Thanks, Jerry.
Please rise, so everybody is, for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'd like to recite the four-way test of things we say or do.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, and everybody be seated. Continue having your lunch, going through the line. It's great. I got a big mouth, but maybe not that big. So we want to welcome our guests today, and if you're a member with the guest, Delene's going to just raise her hand. She's going to walk around. We have one microphone. We're playing share today. So it's always a pleasure to welcome our guests. I have one guest today, and I think he's sitting over here, Marcus Bloom. Marcus, this is his second time here. Marcus is from Germany. His father is president of Rotary Club there. He came and visited with us when we were at Sabre. Then he went to Germany for a trip, and he came home and decided he liked it well enough to come back again. So welcome, Marcus, again. We hope he's done for member. Thank you, Marcus.
We're doing the whole thing?
Just pass it.
Awesome. I like to be a rock and roll singer. So, thanks. This is good. I'm fortunate today to be here with my guest, Crystal Hawkins. Crystal is a consultant working with organizations, Crystal Powers Consulting, and has a mobile yoga studio and is a serial entrepreneur working in the real estate industry also with her husband Keith, who should be here next week. Please welcome Crystal.
President Wall, GUS immediate past president, my guest is Jeannie Conkey. Just put a fork full of food in her mouth. With the Ali Center, she's Director of Communications, and you'll be hearing more about U-Crew and the program that they're doing. Jeannie, stand up.
Fellow Rotarians, I'm Fred Cowan. My guest today is Tim Nicolazzi. Tim has been with us before. We recruited him. He spoke to us briefly about his experience as a Peace Corps volunteer in the Ukraine, and is still very much involved with that and assisting those efforts. And as a former Peace Corps volunteer, he's part of our effort called Partnering for Peace. And this is the Partnering for Peace Week, the collaboration between the Peace Corps and Rotary International and our Rotary Club and District here in Kentucky. So we're welcome to have Tim, and we may get him a little bit more interested, may become a member of Rotary. Welcome.
Hi, President Wall, Ashley Brower. My guest today is Tony Payton with National Center for Families Learning. He's the Executive Vice President over there, and we will introduce Felicia in just a moment. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. It's Jackie Jones. I'm the owner of Vita Shot Beverage Bar, which is a health and wellness company. I have two guests with me today. One of them is going to be strategic in helping my business go to the next level. David Etkin, please stand. He is the director of the Louisville Small Business Development Center, which is the service arm of the SBA. And he provides free consulting services to communities, small businesses, helping them find funding and other resources. Thank you, David. How many people were at the Wealth Gap Stimulator last week? Are you sure? Okay. So this is going to be impactful. My next guest is very, very, very special. His name is Howard Frederick Bailey. I went this weekend to Michigan to go pick him up just so he could be here today. He did 40 years in the school system, retired as an educator, a high school guidance counselor. But what makes him very special is he grew up here in Louisville, left in the 60s, went to school at Central because that's only where blacks could go back then. He stood in line, got his diploma next to Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali. But he's more greater than Muhammad Ali to me because this is my father. My father pushed through segregation, he pushed through racism, he fought poverty and other social economics. He got his bachelor's degree at Western Kentucky University, got his master's degree from the University of Detroit, even got accepted to receive his doctorate. So I'm very proud for him to come back and see the new Louisville and see how it is not as segregated as it was in the 60s and the amazing work that the Rotary Club is doing. So thank you so much for welcoming my dad, Howard Frederick Bailey.
Guests, if you feel interested in the Rotary Club, we're going to have Where is Rotary right down here when it's over. Craig Sherman, and where's Craig? Where's Craig? Where's Craig? Where's Waldo on the stage? Well, Craig will be here soon, but we'll have it, and we'll have What is Rotary to cover about what it takes to become a Rotarian. Next, I wanted to talk about, and Jackie just kind of intimated, but last week was an historic meeting for us, having it at Second Presbyterian Church and doing the Wealth Gap simulation. On Monday of this week, we had the West Louisville Housing Initiative press conference. So September of 2022 was an historic month for our club because of all of the great things that we're doing. Now, the wealth gap simulation, if we don't do anything with that, meaning do anything, that you learn something that you'll live your life differently. And I had a couple of texts the very next day when people sat and thought about it. I had one member, I was at the West End School press conference announcement talking about how they get up in the morning and look in the mirror and see themselves differently than they did the day before. And so, in a lot of those, in fact, one person texted and said, well, for those of you who weren't there, there was the GI Bill in 1947 or 48, somewhere in that time frame, and he went through a whole list of how many good things came out of that. Something like 200,000 teachers and 400,000 doctors and 400,000 dentists and 600,000 engineers, but only 4% of the African American, the black community that were in the armed forces qualified for the GI Bill. So that was tough, and it was tough for this person who said that their grandfather served 4.5 years in the service and was not able to take advantage of that. And then the ... of that is how would life be today if it was different then? Now, that is not, other than being a what-if scenario, the issue is what's going forward. And for me personally, I kind of went, what were they thinking? And that question is not particularly easy to answer, but I put that out there to you because what are we thinking? 20 years from now, we're going to be on the wrong side of something for something we thought we were on the right side. But when you have a ledger or anything like that, when we're doing the West Louisville Housing Initiative, we've got a DEI committee, and we're doing things at the West End School, the Shawnee Dental Clinic, the West End Health Clinic, all of these things trying to do the right thing, and Rotary's been trying to do the right thing for a long time. So I hope that goes there. I know I got on my soapbox there for a minute, but now I get to introduce our announcer for today, and that is Jackie Jones, mortgage loan officer with Republic Bank and Vita Shot Beverage Bar that we just heard from. Jackie, come take it away.
That was my grandfather, Walt, was referencing. He came home from World War II and he went to JCPenney's, and they told him he ought to be ashamed for asking for a white man's job. That right there is the son of a World War II veteran who didn't get GI benefits. What were they thinking? All right, let me get back to the script. All right, Executive Director Delene Taylor and President-elect Kevin Lynch attended the Rotary Large Club Conference in San Jose last week. See highlights and photos in Delene's article in yesterday's Sparks newsletter. We'd like to say congratulations to Brent Corbin, the big winner at Monday's Rotary Golf outing. Is Brent here? No. Thank you, Cliff. I know Cliff's here. Cliff Elgin and our prize sponsors. Thanks to President Walt and other Rotarians who served dinner to the men at Reed Center Ministries yesterday. Please consider men joining them on the fourth Wednesday of each month. It will truly be a rewarding experience. We have several Rotarians in the spotlight this week. Congratulations to Louis Straub on being recognized by Business First as one of the year's most admired CEOs. He and others will be honored at a dinner on November 17th. Both Gil Holland and Ben Reno Weber spoke at Startup Week Louisville recently. Gil was featured in an article. Look for the link in the Sparks newsletter. Also, Dave Christopher was a speaker at the 2002 Optimize Conference hosted by Aging 2.0 and the Louisville Healthcare CEO Council. And Dee Tran just published a new book, Drop the Me and Focus on the Others. It is now available on Amazon, and all proceeds will go to his nonprofit organization called Louisville Fund, a Student Foundation. If you see a Rotarian in the spotlight, please let Delene or Tracy know. Also next week, we will be introducing new members at next week's meeting, and our next session of Rotary University will follow our regular meetings. Tom Cumings and Craig Mooney will share information about our Rotary Honors Scholar Program. Please save the date for Repair a Fair on October 7th from noon to 4 p.m. And please join us if you can for our October Rotary Honors Scholars Mentoring Session. You'll find the dates in the Rotary website and in Sparks. Thank you, and back to you, President Walt.
Thank you, Jackie. A couple of things there. I'm going to go off script again. Delene's shaking her head no. But I said, thank you for serving dinner last night, Walt. Walt does nothing but show up for pictures. The repair fair there, oh, it's the picture there. I did do work there, but Larry knows that I come simply to say thank you and to give support. And if you're at the repair fair, I'll bring you some Gatorade. They're there last night. I'll take a picture and act like I was doing something. But they were doing something really worthwhile. And I got to do it because something else at Rotary got canceled. Also, the awards committee wanted me to remind everybody, or tell everybody for the first time, that they're looking for nominations for Service Above Self Award, which will now be a quarterly award. And they'll be, next time they meet, they'll be announcing our next winner of the Service Above Self Award. This time I'd like to invite Gene West, owner of Faces West Productions, president of the Rotary Fund of Louisville, and best darn immediate past president we've ever had, Paul Harris Fellow +1, to the podium for a special presentation.
Hello, Rotarians. Again, it's Chair of the fund. I want you to know where your money is going. So again, we have a big check presentation to the Muhammad Ali Center. I want to introduce and welcome Marilyn Jackson, who's the new CEO of the center. And Marilyn, I have to tell you that our home before River House was the Muhammad Ali Center. And we actually had a corporate membership from the center, which I hope you will consider again. But Marilyn is here to accept a donation from us, from the Rotary Fund of $2,000 for their Crew Youth program. And Jeannie Conkey is going to come up and help hold the check. Marilyn.
Thank you, Jean, and thank you, the Rotary Club, for this great investment in our youth program. That's the last slide. I thought Jean asked, what is Youth Crew? And I thought I'd just share a few pictures of what the program is. So, the next slide. Youth Crew is a groundbreaking social enterprise program at the Muhammad Ali Center for young folks. Mostly high school students. You have to be at least in 9th grade to participate in the program. And what they learn is how to build a business that gives back to the community. So it's a year-long program. The kids kind of figure out what their mission is, what their path, what their community needs. They're asked to innovate. They go through a curriculum, and then they build a business. And with a $400 investment, they create a product that they sell throughout the year. And the goal is that they not only make the money back, that was their seed fund, and return it back to the center, but that they make additional funds above that, and they are able to donate that money to their community. So I just have a few pictures here and a few quotes of what this student says. So that's a typical Youth Crew cohort. Here they're learning about a jewelry business, and this is a quote from one of the past participants. And you know, what you'll find through the slides is that they're really motivated. They really build a connection with the other program participants and with their community. Next slide. A life-changing experience, pushed me out of my comfort zone. They go to all types of businesses throughout the year. Helped me to be vulnerable, and my biggest takeaway was that there's never give up, and there's motivation to do what you love all around you. Next slide. Really opened my eyes to the real world, helped me get involved with my community, taught me how to run a business, and built lifelong mentors. And I think this is the very last slide, which I love this one. It said, you know, Muhammad Ali's taught me how to put myself out there. and be a better self through teamwork. My biggest takeaways are success doesn't happen without passion, fight injustice with peace and love. Everyone is different in their own way and what makes a team unique. And I am a leader, just like Muhammad Ali. I gotta fight injustice till the day I reach heaven. And this person says they're gonna miss the Muhammad Ali Center. So that's what we do at the Muhammad Ali Center. I mean, all of our youth come away with experiences like this and with great sense of community, great sense of pride, great sense of connection, and a great sense of what they want to do in the world. So really thank you for this phenomenal donation, and it's going to go and support our youth group program.
There you go.
There we go.
All right. Thanks for that.
I'm sorry, President Walt, but Marilyn, you did want to mention the Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Awards coming? Yes? Sure. It was in the news along with all of our stuff.
Yeah, so yesterday, no, it was actually Tuesday, we announced who this year's 2022 Muhammad Ali Humanitarian Award winners are going to be. And it's Dr. Anthony Fauci as the Lifetime Humanitarian, World Food Kitchen as Humanitarian of the Year. That's the organization that goes on the ground when there's natural disasters and wars and so forth, and they were very active in Kentucky when there were floods and tornadoes. And then our Kentuckian of the Year is Alice Houston. So it's November 5th. If you are interested, go to olicenter.org and look for the humanitarian link, and there'll be instructions on how you can participate in this year's awards. So thank you.
Thank you, President.
I want to say thank you to Marilyn as well. She's the newest CEO of the Muhammad Ali Center and moved here to Louisville, and we're glad you're here. Hope you will redo that, rejoin with Rotary. And Alice Houston's had a pretty good year because many of us were at the Leadership Louisville, and there's the new Alice Houston Initiative for women in business. So that's great. Now I'd like to invite Ashley Brower, Vice President of Communications at the Foundation for a Healthy Kentucky, Club Director, Chair of the Speakers Committee, the Leadership Fellows Committee, and the Emerging Leaders Committee to the podium. You wonder when she sleeps, so do I. To the podium to introduce today's speaker. Thank you, Ashley.
Thank you, President Walt. A lifelong educator and national thought leader for teaching and learning, Dr. Felicia C. Smith brings decades of valuable experience to advance NCFL's mission of working to eradicate poverty through education solutions for families. Having served in a variety of leadership roles in P through 12, higher education, nonprofit, and philanthropy, her career has allowed her to experience leading systems and develop a unique vantage point of a learner's educational trajectory from preschool to adulthood. Smith holds an Ed.D. in Education Leadership and Administration from the University of Kentucky, and an MA in Elementary Education with an emphasis on K-12 literacy development, and a BS in Elementary Education from the University of Louisville. Founded and headquartered in Louisville, the National Center for Families Learning's mission is to eradicate poverty through education solutions for families. NCFL has been working across the country for more than 30 years to break generational poverty by bringing parents together with their children to learn. Over this period, NCFL has achieved success by partnering with educators, policymakers, and advocates to creatively address the systemic problems faced by at-risk children and their families. Through these efforts, parents and caregivers recognize their voice and power to make change in their own lives, the lives of their children, and their community. And you guys, I've seen these families, I've talked with them all across the country, and it is amazing, their stories. So please welcome Dr. Felicia C. Smith.
Well, thank you so much. And while we change to the slides that I have to share with you today, I just want to begin by saying how honored I am to be here with you. My colleague and friend Tony Payton has said, Felicia, do not worry, you're in a crowd of very friendly people who all care about the same things that you do. And so I want to thank the Rotary Club and Walt for such a warm welcome to my first Rotary Club appearance. I'd like to say also that I am from Louisville. I grew up in Valley Station. My dad was in the military at Fort Knox, and my mother was a longtime educator on post. And so as you can imagine, when they were trying to decide where they wanted to live, they wanted to live close enough to the base so that they could get back and forth to Fort Knox. But they actually wanted to be in a city, in Louisville, where I could experience as a young person some opportunities that might not be available to me if we were to live elsewhere. I'm honored to be from the city of Louisville. I'm a proud graduate of Pleasure Ridge Park High School, which when I came in, I saw one of my high school graduate friends, and so I thought, wow, this is like coming full circle for me. I've worked in Jefferson County Public Schools for many, many years, and then did a second tour in Jefferson County, as you all probably know, as Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning. But I've also had the opportunity to work at the state level as an Associate Commissioner of Education, again, over all things that would touch teaching and learning, and help inform federal policy, and also be a part of opportunities that were brought to Kentucky through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So, you know, I think that you have to be nice where you go, because you never know when life will come back around and you'll be in a common, familiar place doing very different things. And I feel very fortunate, because the statistics show that someone who looks like me, who came from the area of town, 40272, should actually not be standing here with you today, having experienced so many amazing opportunities. And so I want you to keep that in mind, because as I have heard from my colleagues, my new friends here, of 40 years of working in education, that's just so rare. But standing and fighting the battles and overcoming many of those challenges so that I can be here, know that I feel very fortunate. I am a beneficiary of the work that many of you have been doing across this great city. And so with that, I'm going to share a little bit with you about how I'm following in the footsteps of Sharon Darling, who is the founder and president of the National Center for Families Learning. Then it was the National Center for Family Literacy. And Sharon and I, our paths crossed many of times, because literacy is my background. Literacy is also the gateway to the future, the gateway to a promising future. One that allows for children and parents, teen adults, and caregivers the economic prosperity that we all dream of for those that are here in our community. But to know that all of that work began in Kentucky with Sharon's foresight, and to hear over 33 years of how the work that she accomplished with an amazing team of people has touched many, many, many lives all across this country. It's just overwhelming when you think about, I have just celebrated my first year as president and CEO. So for the next slide, you heard Ashley mention that this is our mission. And our mission, I will say, is more important today than I believe even 30 years ago. We are facing many, many challenges, of which the pandemic really, just made very obvious to many of us. And I have to sit here and say that as an educator, being in K-12 education system at the time when the pandemic began, when COVID-19 began, things became real for many families. They had an inside view of what was happening in classrooms. And honestly, our greatest equity challenges that we've already been able to address in many ways, mentioned earlier, around segregation and integration, now are about instructional equity. Instructional equity and opportunities. And so many families are beginning to push on that as well. And so at NCFL, our goal is really to think about what are the education innovations that need to transform learning experiences, not only for children, but for parenting adults and caregivers. Because Sharon, again, realized that when children and parents come together, that is a way in which we can overturn our challenges around poverty, breaking a cycle of intergenerational poverty. So at the heart of all of what NCFL is about is this multi-generational approach to solutions through literacy and learning engagements. As you can imagine, I stepped into the role, as I mentioned, a year ago, and began to think about what is it that I can bring to NCFL, building on a very strong foundation of work in 150 communities across 39 states. Some may argue that we've been in every state when we were a part of a large federal grant called Even Start, providing technical assistance and training. But what is it that we can continue to do? How can we take our work to the next level? So what you'll hear from me today is building on all of the work of 33 years of really transforming lives across this country and in the city of Louisville, and where we intend to go. And the very interesting flair in which I bring to this next level of work. NCFL is committed to doing deep work in 60 communities across this country so that we can have aligned and coordinated family learning systems in place built with and for families to increase education, attainment, and economic prosperity so that we may have thriving, equitable communities. If you are not in agreement with that, go ahead and leave. This is the challenge ahead of us. And while we will continue to spread education solutions, we have determined as a team with partners in this work that we want to go deep. We want to go deep in 60 places across this country. And so that's the vision. It's ambitious, and many people have said to me, how in the world are you going to get there? Well, you know, we're making it up as we go along. But I promise you that it is informed by 30 years of work. It's informed by the research of today. And it will be informed by families standing hand in hand with us. Because one of the things that we realize at NCFL is that it is impossible for an organization to swoop in on a community and say what's best for a community. What we know is that we have to commit to co-design. We have to commit to listening differently. We have to commit to the ideals and ideas and hopes and dreams of individuals in the community. Those that are closest to the challenge have the solutions. So we want to walk hand in hand with and for families. This is our history. And many of you may know that we have a real strong relationship with Toyota as a corporate partner and have for over 30 years. And this just tells a little bit about how we've gotten to the vision that we've outlined. I also would love to share with you that NCFL has always been committed to equity and culturally responsive education, which is really just responding to the needs and recognizing the individuals for the assets and strengths that they bring to situations and to learning. We've had a long-time relationship with the Bureau of Indian Education, the first of the first of a kind, because 30 years of that contractual relationship has helped us understand the opportunities and experiences for individuals living in tribal communities. We take that information along with the other information that we have in working with young people and adults in poverty, and we've been able to build out programming that has been transformative. And you'll see, as this has materialized over the years, we are now at a place where we're thinking about disrupting systems and creating new systems for learning. Some may say, but you're an educator. What are you really saying about that? What I'm saying is that the schools can't do it alone. Let me be really clear about that. I've spent my entire career in P20 education. And the schools and the demands that are on our schools are almost insurmountable. It must be a community effort. Communities are the key units of change. And having shared goals with shared responsibility and shared accountability, we believe we can create new systems for support. So then here's our theory of action. I won't bore you with that, okay? But as many nonprofit organizations do, we have to have some guiding principles, and that's what this is, really. We believe that there's a collaborative structure, entities in communities that serve as backbone organizations with whom we'll work. We also believe we'll have to have different kinds of high leverage, multi-generational programming in place, which then means that we'll be expected to share those stories in new and different ways. You heard me say very clearly that research is driving the decisions that we're making, but it's not just the research that's just captured in numbers. It's the stories as well that need to be coupled with the numbers. And for those of you that may not have seen a most recent release from the Brookings Institute and NAACP, just this week, they released a Black Lives Indice describing what those conditions are to ensure that Black people actually have their needs met on 5 different criteria. Education attainment is one of those, and we feel like we're doing our part in that space to contribute to solutions. I tell you about that particular index that was released because Louisville is also mentioned there. You can go in and find specific data on individual cities. And I encourage you to go and look at what the data say about the city of Louisville. We know what the data probably indicate, right? But it's another look, another slice, another way to think about how we use data as a key indicator for the types of solutions we help create for different people. The last thing I'll mention about our theory of action is not only do we believe that it's important to tell those stories, but it's important for us to think about local policies. Local policies are where I believe the innovation occurs in order to reach the state level and national policies. And having been at the state agency, Kentucky Department of Education for a long time, one of the things that I always did was look to the local districts, look to local communities for innovation that would drive the kinds of policies that I was held accountable for forwarding hand in hand with our state legislature. And so we believe that those policies actually represent how you internalize the things that you hope to see in communities. Use them as an aid to advancing different outcomes. With these 4 actions in place, we believe that that's how we get to 60 communities with aligned and family learning systems in place. And so just a little bit more to go one level deeper, a family learning system that is aligned and coordinated really is made up of 3 elements. One, which is family literacy, and this is our legacy work that we're bringing forward. The second is family engagement, and I was proud to see my colleague and friend Crystal Hawkins here today, who helped really transform a lot of what was happening with NCFL and Jefferson County Public Schools, and I was there just to help boost her. It's amazing when you can see young people take flight, when they're given the autonomy to make change happen. It is a model that's leading the country. And so family engagement is, making sure that we hear the voices of parents and caregivers and bridging what is there between schools and districts, the community, and their lived experiences. Building the capacity of both in doing that as well. And then the last thing I'll mention is around family leadership. This is the newest body of work. What we've learned from 30 years of doing this work in the field is that parents and caregivers were intimately involved in family literacy practices and family engagement practices, but would often raise their hand and say, "What's next? I'm feeling even more empowered. I have learned several literacy skills. I have learned leadership skills. And now I'm prepared to be a leader and change agent in my community. How might NCFL help me be able to be responsive and create solutions for the deep challenges in my community?" And so we have a couple of national models and a couple of local models around leadership development for parents and caregivers. So some may ask, and this is really a slide that I've used internally, but I think it's worthy of having a conversation because this is what our work looks like today and where we're headed for the future. It's always important to have a map in front of you to show you how you're going to get to your destination. And now you'll see in that space, we have lots of different programs that are going on across the country that seemingly are not connected to one another. And by the time you get to 2030, you'll see we are building a comprehensive approach for how we network those communities, network those families, and begin to have critical mass within and across the country. And I'll end by saying that the city of Louisville is really reflected in this now section and the different types of programs that we have in place. But I want to challenge you today, as I have with many other groups across this great city. I believe Louisville, we're in NCFL's backyard, should be the epicenter of this work. It's going to take everyone in this room. It's going to take organizations across this city. But I believe if there's anywhere we can create this type of momentum and bring together the different types of investments that are happening across this great city to create a family learning system, it is Louisville that can do it. And so I am asking you to join us on this journey, and I am looking forward seriously to talking with each and every one of you, because this is the work that we have ahead of us, and this is the hope of our future. And so thank you so much for allowing me to be here with you today. I am thrilled about what is ahead of us. I hope you've heard a glimmer of where we're going as an organization with and alongside you and families within this community. Thank you.
So we're going to ask questions now. We've got one microphone, so I'm going to start off with a couple that you have. So Bill and Melinda Gates, that was more with the state, is that right? Okay.
But I also worked for the foundation for a period of time. Yeah.
Because that was, we know Bill and Melinda Gates is a mainstay for the Rotary's polio fight, and that if you don't know this, they only take on projects that will have huge, immense, move the needle type of things. So is there anything with that you'd like to talk about?
Sure. During my time at the Kentucky Department of Education, I was fortunate, as I mentioned, to be Associate Commissioner. And there was a deep investment in the state of Kentucky around new standards, around education systems, around how teachers are evaluated, which was a little controversial at the time. However, I'll say that with that, Kentucky was leading the way around how we can think critically with different organizations that were also involved in teacher evaluation and new standards and new assessments and accountability. So in 2010, many of you may know and remember that that was a time in which college and career readiness really began to be the mantra for the state. That children needed to be able to be prepared for college or careers. And that is the work that I led at the state agency. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation made a major investment at that time, and work was done here in the city of Louisville, but work was also done across eastern Kentucky. And I'm proud to say that later, after my work and time at the Kentucky Department of Education, I joined the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and during that time was able to bring Bill and Melinda to Kentucky for their first visit to Appalachia region. And as you can imagine, that was an incredible experience. Incredible in so many ways. They got to experience all of Kentucky to the sense of like coming in, flying into Lexington, and then having to drive, right? Pretty far to eastern Kentucky. But then while there, their appreciation of the beauty of this state, the resilience of this state, the commitments that we've made were ever present. And so I feel fortunate again to have been a part of that visit to Kentucky because it allowed us to be a shining star. And so that was important. Yeah.
And then when you had your slide up there with all the interconnectedness in 2030, I've got two questions. One, what does success look like? And then you said you want help from all of us in this room. And the question is how or what?
So we are as you can imagine, we're in the midst of describing what success looks like. We have quite a few successes thinking about individual parts of this work, but bringing it a level up to say, here's how we would imagine success just being described. One, I think that's going to be contingent on what communities say they need. Okay, so there's a little bit of flexibility in there that communities are going to have to come together, individuals like you are going to have to come together to define success for your community based on a wealth of data. But we also believe that literacy rates will increase not only for young children. If you've seen some of the most recent national assessment data on literacy and mathematics, the numbers are staggering and demonstrate that we have so much work to do. So literacy rates of young children, literacy rates of adults, helping determine how the number of adults who are locked out of opportunity because they don't read and write well, we should all be thinking about that as dollar signs. The health and well-being of our community, every person has to contribute. I'll also mention that we believe that there's built within this system of a family learning system, we believe families need to be learning together so that we can create opportunities, get people on the right pathway for success, point them in the right direction. And I'll tell you, what we've heard across this country is that systems are difficult to navigate. If you're someone living in poverty, it's difficult to navigate. We want to create a more streamlined approach for that. We also want to overturn deficit perspectives. You know, when you begin to hear and listen in a different way, the way we talk about people living in poverty comes from a very deficit narrative. We're not acknowledging the strengths and the resilience of individuals. So our objective is to overturn that. Bring everyone into the conversation. No matter what they have to offer, we recognize that there is something to offer. So the system of support will include, you know, how many opportunities are being created for individuals who have been living in poverty that may have been locked out of those opportunities. You know, I will tell you, having worked in Jefferson County Public Schools, I know the data are there. I could have also predicted some ills of what we faced because our young people were disengaging. Our young people were saying, I don't feel seen. Individuals who looked like me were crying out. And so those are the types of ways in which we're looking at different indicators. We want more leaders coming from different groups of families. We want more leaders to help in solving solutions, creating solutions to challenges within our community. How are we engaging families? Should we see that engagement tick up? Those are just a few kind of indicators that we've been thinking about. And what your second part of the question is, how can we solicit your help? Well, one, many people didn't know that NCFL was right here in Louisville. And so help us get the word out about the great work that we're doing in partnership with many, many different organizations across the state. Leverage the work that we're doing. And not only this conversation, but each of you are going to go back to your own social groups. Each of you may be on other boards. Talk about NCFL. Help us raise the awareness of the work that we're doing so that we can do more here in our home city.
If any Rotarians have a question, just come down here. I think that'd be the easiest place, and I'll bring the microphones. Anybody got it? Yeah, here we go.
And I'm going to turn it over to Tony now.
Thank you so much. My name is Larry Sloan Sales Company. And my question is, what is the biggest stumbling block that you see, that you face, and why? And how do you see overcoming it or getting around it?
Yeah. Great question. The biggest stumbling block, I would imagine, is that we don't have coordinated systems. Everything is so disjointed. And we have common agendas. We're actually not coming together to create common solutions. And so I would argue that the greatest work that I've now tried to be involved in is creating how we can come together so that we are more efficient, we are more effective, we aren't doing duplicate work, and that we learn from one another, quite honestly. I'd also say another great challenge is shift in mindsets and institutional challenges that we face. I think we may feel that we've come a long way, but there are still ways in which I see institutional racism bubble up. And being bold about how to respond to that takes a lot of courage from leaders. And so I think having courageous leadership, of which I've seen from many leaders across the city, but it's going to take not only individuals who are black and brown, but my white counterparts and others to help stand arm in arm around many of the issues that we're facing.
Thank you very much, Dr. Smith. My name is Rick Harned, retired and active Rotarian. And you have spoken of the need to work with a variety of other organizations in a broad-ranging network to achieve your goals. And that's fundamentally how Rotary works and always has. Our club and many other clubs are very active in education in a variety of different ways. One of the organizations that I know we have helped support, and other clubs have as well, is Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, which focuses on getting reading materials to children and encouraging their parents to read together and maybe even learn to read together with those kids. And I was just wondering, do you work with them, and what are your impressions of that program?
Yeah, so NCFL does not currently work with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, although when I was at the state and with an organization that's leading some of that work at the University of Kentucky, worked very closely with the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. I'll also say that I am thrilled that the Kentucky legislature placed quite a bit of resources in the Dolly Parton Imagination Library to scale it across Kentucky. We have another partner for book distribution with whom we work, Unite for Literacy, which is a part of the Louisville Growing Readers work, and they've been an amazing partner. I think that we can't partner with enough people to create opportunities for distributing books, distributing resources, electronic, print, whatever it may be across the city. So thank you for that support, and I wasn't aware that Rotary was involved in this.
You must try.
Yes. Well, I have a feeling that when I leave today, I'm going to be talking to many, many more people about all of the amazing work that the Rotary Club's been doing. So I look forward to it.
Hi, I'm Julie Skoski James, and I've had a front row seat to see the transformational power of families learning together in my former career with JCPS. My question to you is, how do we ensure that Jefferson County is one of the 60 counties that you do a deep dive?
So we have been working really over the past 8 months to figure out what work, like doing our own landscape. What work are we doing in the city of Louisville? Sharon and I have had lots of conversations about this, and so we are now doing a landscape of what are the opportunities that are here in Louisville. Where do we see gaps in the infrastructure to help create opportunities? We're working currently with the mayor's office and hopefully soon with the new mayor's office on providing some opportunities. And so I think as we begin to think about who are the individuals that will come together to really kind of sign off, yes, Louisville will be a part of this, we've identified 4 key stakeholders that will agree to helping us lead this work as we think about Louisville as a partner. So Tony, you'll have to help me remember this. It's the school superintendent, and think about this in response to what we expect for all 60 communities, okay? And we're at the very early stages of this. So the school superintendent, mayor's office,
then like a community-based organization or entity, whether it's like a United Way.
Community-based organization or entity.
And then we've also talked about working with post-secondary as well,
Yeah.
part of my research.
And working with post-secondary. You see why Tony's my left hand. Yeah, so we anticipate that will be like our entry point. We also have had some conversations with Evolve 502 because they're kind of serving as a backbone organization. We'd love for Rotary to stand up and say, hey, we could be a part of this, and we'd love to say yes. Yeah, that's where we are.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And let's give her a round of applause. So it's our honor today to make a $500 donation to the Rotary West Louisville Housing Fund in your honor. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All good, all good. And just for your information, so with Evolve 502, we have the Rotary Promise Scholars at Western and Iroquois High School under Evolve 502. So we've been playing in that field before Evolve 502, so for 10 years. All right, we're almost done, folks, so a couple of quick things. If you need to go, please do. But we're going to switch things up a little bit. Oh, let's see. There we go. We're going to have a quiz. So I need everybody to stand up. We're going to do last person standing. Y'all played that before? Don't. No, those are cheers, people, aren't they? Last person standing. If you do not know the answer to any of these questions, sit down. Last person standing. Oh, there you go. I got people sitting down before they start. That's even better. Who was the big winner in the golf shamble? If you know, stand up. If you don't, sit down.
Brett.
It was Brett, right? I heard somebody say it. Where was the recent Rotary Large Club Conference? Where was it? Kevin, where was it?
San Jose.
San Jose. Nobody sat down, so there were some folks that read. Who announced a $500,000 commitment to the West Louisville Housing Initiative at Monday's press conference? Fifth Third Bank and our own Kim Halbauer. Right. Lots of people standing up. Are we meeting the week of Thanksgiving? Who knows that answer? No. No is not the answer. We are meeting with the Kiwanis Club. Oh, are we down to 2? Oh, down to 3. Down to 3. Oh, this is great. So you got to be quick. Name. And the same person can't name the same book. Name one of the 3 books that were mentioned in Sparks.
We're going to do a drawing for the 3 of you since you almost made it. Did you actually read Sparks or did you just know all of it? No, where were the books?
What?
There were 3, The Color of Law, and then they came from mine. There were 3 books that 2 of them were recommended at our WellCap simulation last week, and one of them I am in the process of reading right now. I've probably never read a more important book in my life. I encourage you to read this book.
Yeah, that is.
All right.
Okay, so it's called Then They Came for Mine, and there's a subtitle, and I don't remember what that is, but
we'll put that in next week's too. Maybe we'll do this again. Okay, I don't know. You've got a whole bunch of tickets there.
well,
We're going
that's
to be
what
here
I'm trying
30
to figure
minutes.
out. I just gave 3 tickets out. Where's the other half of those tickets? Do you guys have them?
It's okay.
You guys already have.
So
give me your.
Oh, wait a minute. No, here we go. I got this. If you have an even, 3 of you all stand up. 3 of you all stand up. We'll do this. I know how to do this. Greg Braun taught me. Okay, if your ticket is even, sit down. There you go. How about that? And the door prize is one of those books that you didn't know. The door prize is lunch next week. All right. Next week, our speaker will be Pat Armstrong, President and CEO of the Kentucky Derby Museum. So we'll be talking about horses. And please scan the QR code at the table, RSVP by Monday. And finally, Walt's Words of Wisdom. The illiterate of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. If everybody remembers the third wave, I read that when I was in high school a long time ago, Chris. I'm always ready to learn, although I do not always like to be taught. Of course, that's Winston Churchill. We now accept the facts that learning is a lifelong process of keeping abreast of change, and the most pressing task is to teach people how to learn. Peter Drucker from Monty Python, he who laughs last learns best. The trouble with learning from experience is that you never graduate. And Mahatma Gandhi said, live as you will die tomorrow, learn as you will live forever. Have a great week. Joe Palmer is here, and Craig is at this table for What is Rotary? Thank you all.
Oh, yeah.